Stepping up to a new challenge at Nobby's, an extraordinary group of youngsters called the Albatross Nippers in full formation.
It's essentially children with special needs coming down and joining in with Nippers. I'm Nick Marshall. I'm the creator of the Albatross Nippers program. And I guess the program on its sort of surface looks a little bit like a special needs program at the beach, but it means so much more than that. It came about basically because I was coaching here at Nobby Surf Club, and there were a number of children who had siblings with special needs, and we were trying to find a way that they could join in. I guess subsequently from that we decided, well, let's make a Nipper program. And we didn't want it to be just a Nippers, a special day at a special time. We wanted an inclusive Nipper program. And so for about 4 or 5 years now, we've had the Albatross Nippers, which is an inclusive Nipper program held here at Nobby Beach Surf Club. What I'm really passionate about is not just that it's surf lifesaving, but if you live here on the Gold Coast, your community or the village that you live in revolves around your surf club. I'm a parent of young kids myself, and I know how challenging it can be to bring them to the beach. And we bring our kids to Nippers so that they learn how to swim safely between the flags, but also how to learn how to run on the sand, catch waves, and just be around their friends. And so it's been enormously rewarding for both myself and all the volunteers that help us do this program to see that sort of same enjoyment on the special needs children's or the Albatross kids' faces, but also to see the sort of the relief that some of their parents have and the enjoyment that some of their parents have by, I guess, having a little bit of time off, but also seeing their kids enjoy the ocean. Sometimes the beach can be a little bit off limits for some of these families because it just is a little bit too chaotic, and they're not really sure how it's going to go or where they're going to park or how they access the sand and the water. But hopefully our program's taken that and made that a lot easier for them. And essentially with the amount of volunteers that we have, it's allowed them to take a little step back and have almost a mini respite on a Sunday morning and just watch their kids as a proud parent, watch their kids catch waves, watch their kids in a beach sprint, in flags, doing some wading. And essentially, like any Nipper parent, just on a Sunday, sort of sit back and watch and know that they're learning a new skill and they're challenged in the ocean, but it's also teaching them some life skills so that they can better appreciate the ocean and the beach, but also get that lifelong love of the ocean so that they can come down and enjoy it in the same way that we all do. It's just not local people that are coming to the program. In fact, we've got Nippers, and at the moment we've got 75 registered Nippers this season and close to 120 over the last 4 or 5 years. But we've got Nippers coming from northern New South Wales as well as in Brisbane, and they come down regularly, whether it's monthly or every 2 to 3 weekly, to do the program. So it just sort of highlights the fact that there's plenty of people interested in wanting to do it. They love it, they enjoy it, and it's a real sort of summer feel and a summer activity for a lot of these families that wouldn't have previously had an opportunity to do this.
We love our Albatross Nippers. We come down from Brisbane when it's on, and the kids, George and Alice, love participating. They love being in the water, and by themselves they can be a bit unsafe, but it's great to have other young people taking them out in the waves. So yeah, we love it.
They've defended Gold Coast here. Brimson puts it high, bringing Johnston forward. It's pushed backwards. Kelly has it. Thinks about beating them one-on-one and goes infield, where it's gone for Anthony Don to become the greatest try scorer in Titans history.
G'day guys, Anthony Don from the Gold Coast Titans. We've been down here at Nobby's Beach this morning with the Albatross Nippers. We've had such a special morning with the kids.
I'm about to beat the kids at flags down at Nobby's Beach.
We've been doing a lot of activities amongst the water and on the sand. We've been having flags races, sprint races, crumb sausages where you roll amongst the sand, and we finished with some board races. So we're taking the kids out the back with the boards, catching plenty of waves. When I was growing up, I was lucky enough to experience Nippers at Yamba, so it's a privilege to be able to give back to the community and come down. We've had a fantastic morning and loved every minute. it's really good to see the kids having a smile on their faces while they're in the ocean, and also for the parents to bring their kids down to the beach and watch them having an absolute ball out in the water. It's really nice to be a part of, and it's something that I look forward to every month.
Jason, actually, my husband, stumbled across Albatross Nippers about 2 years ago now, and we were struggling to find anything for Carter with his autism to be. He's tried soccer, he's tried sailing, but Nippers, he loves the water, so we just thought that would just be perfect. He struggles with friendships and connecting socially with other people.
This is my room. And I do got lots of Lego, and I got a guitar. Also on my iPad, I got like a couple of games and all that. They're actually like Skylanders. His name is Dragon.
And that's why Nippers has become so amazing, that he's formed some good little friendships when he does go there.
Yeah, since he's been into the Nippers and spending more time down at the beach, now you can't get him out. So he's definitely he's grown a lot in the last 6 years.
Nippers has changed him a lot. He's like really confident, like more confident than he used to be.
He also has more social skills now because of Nippers too.
No, I don't.
Yeah, because he likes to interact with all the little kids, and since he's been able to do it at Nippers, he's been able to do it at school.
Would you like to help Nick one day when you get older?
Yeah.
And maybe you know how the helpers help you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could be like that.
Yeah.
When you get older. And take other kids out on boards.
Yeah, or maybe help them, and then if they can't actually run too fast enough.
Well, you run so fast that they can't catch up with you.
Have you seen how you run?
Yeah, of course. Duh. The Albatross Nippers, my friends, and it's pretty awesome.
On a personal level, I do work with kids with autism on a daily basis, so I do understand the needs of these children, and the surf in particular. Some of them struggle a lot with sensory needs, so they're sensitive to the sun or the sand or the surf or the waves. I asked Nick ages ago if I could take some pamphlets to take into my work to give to the parents, and they all loved it. They were happy to know that there are things like this out there for their children, because they do struggle with finding something that their kids love to do. The other reason why Carter loves Nippers so much is because he's established a leadership role. He's been going for 2 years now. I think he found his feet very early on to know that he likes to lead the pack when he gets there. He's always the first to line up and make everyone line up in the same line. In other sports that he's done before, he's been left behind. He hasn't had that voice to be able to say, pass me the ball if it's soccer, or can I play in this position? But now he's just seemed to have found his groove, and I think later on he would like to have that leadership role. He would like to be that boy to be able to take other kids out on that board. And you want to keep doing Nippers?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all crazy.
I've been really, really lucky that I grew up in surf lifesaving. My parents took me down as a very young nipper, and there were times I think that they had to endure it rather than enjoy it. I think any family that's had kids in Nippers knows that it's a pretty unique experience. You'll leave the house with enough sun cream on to endure a nuclear fire, yet you'll still come home at lunchtime with sort of 3rd-degree burns. So everyone sort of has their own sort of Nipper stories, but I was lucky enough to stay within the organisation, and I competed as a Nipper, and then as an adult. I got into coaching quite early on at a number of different surf clubs, and then as a physio became the Queensland and Australian, I guess, physio for their national team. So I've been very, very lucky. A lot of my life sort of revolves around surf lifesaving and the connections and the friendships that I've made within the organisation. I'm really, really passionate about I guess, the local community engagement that a surf lifesaving club can bring.
A couple of hours after Laura was born, the doctors came to us and explained to us that they suspected that Laura may have some problems. Initially, their explanation to me about what they thought she may have had, I thought it might have been Down syndrome, but they said no, it's much worse than that. Generally, the children don't survive. And I think it was her big toes were curled up a little bit as well, so they did suspect something within a couple of hours, her being born. So we had to wait a couple of days to find out exactly what may have been wrong with her. Thankfully, it wasn't what they suspected, but she's still undiagnosed to this day. She's just turned 21 this year, so her broad diagnosis is small brain syndrome. There is a medical term for it, but her brain hasn't developed, or her brain function hasn't developed as it should have. Her speech is very limited, as is her range of movement with her high tone as well, so it does restrict her somewhat in what she can and can't do.
My name is Paula Baker and I've been involved with Nobby Surf Club now for approximately 8 years. A few years ago we recommended the Albatross Nipper program to my sister and her partner Brad, and Brad's daughter Lordy.
You know, I pretty much jumped at the chance to come down and bring Laura to Albatross Nippers because we've always had a love for the beach. I wasn't probably totally aware of how the program was going to be run, but when we first came down to the Albatross Nippers, we were quite surprised in the fact that it was run with the regular Nipper program, which as a parent for a special needs kid, you don't get too many opportunities for your kid to have that interaction with mainstream kids.
They live on the north side of Brisbane, and so they come down to our place on the Saturday night before Albatross Nippers and stay at our place the night, and then we head to Nippers on the Sunday morning. So this Sunday morning, I think it was the second time Lordy had done Albatross Nippers, and apparently she clapped the whole way from Daybra to our place on the Gold Coast, clapping and saying fun games, fun games. Anyway, so this Sunday morning we were racing around madly to get her to Nippers. Lordy doesn't ever say very much, she doesn't talk a lot, and she's getting Anastasia to put her rashie on and Nipper cap on, or water safety cap on, and then she's doing the same to me. And when the four of us were standing there, and we're all now in our high vis with our caps on, she pulled the four of us in and she said, same. And it's the first time ever that she had thought that we were all the same, even though we'd never treated her anything differently, that we'd always treated her the same. She was thinking that she was the same because we all do the activities together on the beach. But it's the most animated I've ever seen Lordy is when she does Albatross Nippers.
We found with Albatross Nippers, she becomes more vocal, expresses herself a lot more, talks a lot more, and a lot of the time too, the special needs kids, like in their own mind, they know that they're not normal, but in their own minds, they're as normal as you and I, and they just want to be treated as a normal person. And that's the big bonus with the Albatross Nippers program, is that it is run on the same day as mainstream Nippers. The kids get that interaction, which is great. And you can see, even though Laura's speech is very limited, you can tell just by her body language, the way she interacts with the other kids, that she really appreciates that interaction with mainstream kids. And for me, I hope all surf clubs I hope that all surf clubs adopt the program, because special needs kids need more interaction with mainstream kids. They tend to get shoved away to the side. Even with special needs programs, they're generally run away from mainstream kids. That's where I think, for me, Albatross Nippers it wins hands down as far as that interaction is concerned. So, yeah.
Amazing there at the beach. We're 50 metres away from an iconic sort of beach in the world, really, one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. But I guess for people with special needs or people with disabilities, that's been somewhat inaccessible. And what our program's trying to do, and again, this has been an evolution of the program, is we're trying to get it to the point where we're introducing beach access. We're introducing beaches that are more accessible for these families and their children. And certainly our program at Nobby's and others at Talabudra and Southport, where we run Albatross programs, we roll out the beach matting and beach wheelchairs so that people can come and enjoy the beach, and that's what this program's about, and that's what Nippers is all about. But the Albatross program's trying to get those families that haven't been able to do that, haven't been able to come down to the beach and be included in Nippers. These kids, they don't get an opportunity necessarily to learn those sort of really basic surf skills or basic safe swimming skills, and then so they don't hold the beach in the same regard as what so many of us do, as that kind of big playground where you can go and keep fit away from Nippers Sundays and through your whole life. We've spoken about it before, but if you don't get exposed to something as a kid, well, it's pretty hard to pick it up later in life. So, as much as the program, I'd love to say the program's all about Nippers and all about learning to be safe at the beach, there's probably an aspect of the community about it as well, which I'm probably more proud of the further we sort of go into this journey. Initially it was just about inclusive Nippers, but now it seems to be more about I guess like an inclusive community, or re-engaging this sort of population within our local community. We're off to work now, working for the man. So pretty busy day, but people make fun of me and sort of say that I always take jobs, never say no to anything, which is probably my motto. Just say yes to everything and then try and work out how you're going to get it done. But it's kind of the way I like it, like being busy, like having plenty of sort of things on the go. So we're off to work now, physio work at Surf Life Physio in our sort of medical in Miami building, and been this morning, been working with the Australian swim team on pool deck at Griffith. Then we'll finish up the day usually with a little bit of coaching down at Nobby Surf Club, where we coach the Nippers and the Masters and Seniors, and pretty much anyone who's in the surf club. Should be a jam-packed day.
G'day, my name's Will Taylor. I've been doing Nippers since I was 6. I'm stoked to be down here at Albatross Nippers with my cousin Lily. She's been doing it for 2 years. Every Sunday, it's very fun. Lily's been doing it for a couple of years now. She loves it. She loves seeing all the little kids coming down as well, also hanging out, being able to go out in the surf. Today we're out on the board. Hey Lily, it was pretty fun. What was your favourite activity to do?
Board.
The board. Yeah, we went out a few times, had a few waves, had a few laughs. Nick has rallied up a few troops from around the Gold Coast, from all the clubs from Coolangatta to Southport. He's been very helpful to the little kids being able to do Albatross. Be able to come down here and help out the little kids, put a smile on their face, help out the parents so that they can have a few hours off and just be able to watch the kids have fun, put a big smile on their face. It's so sick to be able to see Lily go down a few waves. She got pummeled a few times, got smashed, but she's still got a smile on her face, and that's all that matters really at the end of the day.
Thank you, Will, for coming down and helping, and I love Albatross Nippers.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a special needs day at a special time at a special beach. I was very much that I wanted to have an Albatross Nippers that was an inclusive Nipper program, where as a community we all came together here on Sunday Nippers. If you're growing up here on the Gold Coast, Nippers is your community engagement. It's where you meet people that live in your local community. You may end up getting a job with somebody, you meet parents, you meet other people that live within your local area. Unfortunately, but if you had a special needs child, that became a little bit off limits because Nippers was off limits. So what I'm passionate about is inclusion, and there's that old sort of saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Unfortunately, in both mine and my parents' generation, the village failed those families that needed it the most, and those families are the families of a special needs child, because people with special needs were segregated and isolated away from sort of general society. We didn't see them, and so we didn't learn how to sort of communicate, interact and engage with them. Kids today are going to schools that are inclusive, so they get an opportunity to see how to engage, how to interact, and they're the best generation that we've ever seen at it. And so my program, the Albatross Nippers, is about carrying on what schools have with inclusive programs and having an inclusive Nipper program. And the thinking behind that is that we're creating that better community or that village, so to speak, so that the village can raise everyone's children.
I'm Warwick Hay. I have a son, Marcus Hay, he's 12 and he has Down syndrome. We enjoy a lot of sporting activities with him. We're here at basketball today where he does this once a week. The thing that he enjoys the most these days is Albatross Nippers down at the beach. It's a great program that Nick's put together. As a parent, I think it's great. There's two parts to it. The kids get to have so much fun down there and enjoy being junior nippers, and also the parents get an hour or so just to wander down the beach and have a little bit of a rest themselves. For me, I've used to bring Marcus along and just sort of enjoy a bit of time at the beach myself, but then I realised how much fun it was for everybody, and I've now gone off and become a water safety person or done my bronze medallion, and now I'm out there enjoying it all with the kids. And now I look back and see how much relief the parents get just having a couple of hours at the beach to themselves, or just bringing them to the beach, bringing them to the surf club and that beautiful relaxing environment. They can arrive at 8 o'clock in the morning and you can look at them and think, wow, they look pretty worn out, and by 10 o'clock when they're walking out, everybody's happy, the kids are happy, the parents are relaxed. And that's another huge part of what this Albatross program provides for families. We've been doing this for a few years now with Marcus, and he has developed some quite good surf skills, and he has a little bit of wave selection, and we spend a lot of time at the beach with him and his sister, and he really is quite good in the big waves, and so there's that part of it as well, which, hey, we all want our kids to be safe between the flags. We all go home pretty happy. Family, kids, mums and dads, happy people.
At some point they've got to squeeze in my own family who endure everything that I say yes to. I wouldn't say my kids love Nippers at the moment, which is tough, because you're sort of so heavily into Nippers. It'd be a tough thing if they weren't interested, but and I'm not that. I won't be devastated if they don't want to compete or anything, but I certainly would love them to be sort of members. So I guess the other thing too, to probably have everyone at the forefront of their mind, is that the program's not that cheap to run. You know, it's always been my absolute goal to keep it completely free for families, and everyone who's involved is a volunteer. No one takes a wage or anything out of it, but just the continual ongoing costs of buying the rashies and making sure there's equipment that's up to date, because the equipment does get bashed around a little bit. Also just some registration sort of fees and different bits and pieces, club uniforms. It adds up, and look, we've been incredibly lucky to win a couple of grants. Generally it's my wife or I writing the grants, and then kind of waiting for the email or waiting for the phone call to see whether we've been successful or not. So it's a year-to-year prospect, and so you never know each year what you're going to get, and you literally are. You're competing for that money, but it can get a bit stressful not knowing whether you're going to be able to have the money to run programs each year. You know, we're now running out of Nobby's and Talabudra and Southport with, you know, programs. Obviously Nobby's is once a month, and Talabudra and Southport we're doing sort of annual programs, and next season we'll almost certainly have another couple of clubs on board. I think the more clubs that can take on a program like this, the better.
We often talk about greatest of all time in the men's competition, but when you have a conversation about greatest of all time winner, Courtney Hancock has to be in there. She's claimed series titles before. She's claimed Australian titles before. She's claimed Coolangatta Gold titles before, but this one will be special, I guarantee it. On the Gold Coast, in front of the crowd, the Queen of Surf Sports is back to take her crown. What a performance today from Courtney Hancock. Dominant victory. She did it the hard way, and she's back where she belongs and wins another Ocean 6 race right here. The girls love it there. Hugs all round. Our round 5 Nutrigrain Iron Woman Series champion, Courtney Hancock, crosses the line.
I'm Courtney Hancock and I'm an Iron Woman on the Gold Coast. So I'm very lucky to be a part of the Albatross Nippers. So my journey on how I was able to become involved with the Albatross Nippers is Nick Marshall, who is the founder of the Albatross Nippers, was actually one of my very first sponsors when I was 18, when I moved to the Gold Coast and wanted to be a professional Iron Woman. He didn't even have to explain too much about it, because I was like, yes, I'm going to be on board. This is something that is going to be absolutely incredible for everyone who's going to be involved, and that's the kids, the families, just absolutely the whole country. And because surf life saving is so important in our country, and we want that to be available for everyone. And I think these kids and families probably thought at a time they weren't able to be a part of this special family of surf life saving, and that's all in the past now. It's now happening now, it's happening in the future, and that journey along the way from that day one, from that first Sunday at Nobby's, it's just absolutely grown since then. And we look at where along the way it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of fun and a lot of dedication and passion from Nick Marshall. I've done been able to be a part of all the wonderful things in surf life saving, but this definitely is at the top of the tree.
So this season, after 4 or 5 seasons of doing Nipper Sundays, we've now decided to put together a march past team to march at this year's Queensland State Titles. Now, this year's State Titles marks the 50th anniversary of junior activities, or Nippers, here in Queensland. And what better way to sort of showcase the organisation, and an organisation that I love and have been a part of since I was a child and I was a Nipper, than to show inclusion. And so over that 50 years of Nippers, it's hard to imagine that 50 years ago girls couldn't compete. And what we're trying to show is we want to be the ushering in a new era, the next 50 years, and showing an inclusive program, an inclusive sport, or para-sport almost, by putting together our Albatross March Past team. Now, our Albatross March Past team will obviously have our Albatross Nippers in it, but I didn't also want it to just be our Albatross Nippers, because then that's almost segregating them away from the group. I really wanted it to be an inclusive March Past team. So there'll be children from the Nobby Surf Club here in that Albatross March Past team. They might also be required a little bit just to keep everyone under control. There'll be excitement and everyone will be sort of jumping out of their skin on the day. So by having an inclusive team, we'll all be able to sort of support each other and then compete on the day.